Hello, welcome to another edition of Security Africa. This is still episode 2, and we are still talking about COVID-19, its origin, whether it is man-made or naturally occurring. This answer is very crucial for the survival of Africa in this 21st century. Africa is tired of endless virus epidemics, so it is time to know where these viruses and diseases are coming from. Recalled in the last episode, scientists and bioweapon experts confirmed that Ebola virus was manufactured in the labs located in West Africa. So it was designed to reduce the population of Africa. You saw the locations of the labs and the various organizations and agencies that own and operate them. In this edition, we want to know why they want to reduce the population of Africa using biological weapons. In addition, confirm how they made money from Ebola and other virus outbreaks coming up next. Welcome back. So what is the philosophy and policy behind the depopulation of Africa? Have a look.
Because we currently have a population, of about 6.5, getting on for 6.5 billion people on the planet.
Bit more than that already. I think it's about 6.8.
Is it? Well, and I know the projections are that it's going to go up to 9 billion by the sort of halfway point in the 21st century. So what do you think is a viable figure that Gaia, that the planet can sustain?
I would guess, living the way we do, not more than 1 billion, probably less. It's largely a matter of
You
how
say that
you
with
live.
equanimity, but that's postulating the most dramatic and terrible and unimaginable sort of cull of the human species.
Well, I'm stick by it. I think it will happen. I think it's very probable.
What time frame?
It'll take almost a miracle to stop it happening. This century.
This century.
Did you hear that? Take note of the following lines. Fearful, isn't it? What has Africa got to do with this? Why do they want to depopulate Africa? Now listen to this.
Henry Kissinger, the former Secretary of State under Richard Nixon, and Zbigniew Brzezinski, the National Security Advisor under President Jimmy Carter. There was consideration that the resources of our planet were few and the people were many. Now, according to the statistics, there's over 7 billion people on our planet, and the scarce resources of the planet has to be shared by 7 billion people. So under Kissinger, a plan was hatched that 2 to 3 billion people on our planet would have to be culled. To cull means to destroy, to kill. Well, many of you listening to this broadcast cannot wrap your mind around a human that could think that the resources of the earth are too little and the population is too much. So we must kill 2 to 3 billion people. But the people that Kissinger and the U.S. government agreed with Mr. Kissinger. These people that would be killed would be in the third world. Could this be why in Africa AIDS is slaughtering black men and women by the tens of thousands, particularly in those areas where the mineral resources of that area is necessary to keep America in power in this 21st century.
Did you hear that? Now you know it is a deliberate policy to depopulate Africa. Again, why do they want to depopulate Africa? What reasons do they have? There must be a reason behind the policy to depopulate Africa. Now listen to this.
In Africa, yes, because there is a policy of the American government. It's called the Kissinger Report, which was produced in the mid-70s when Henry Kissinger was involved with the government. And it explicitly states, which to this day, it remains the official policy of the American government. It has not changed. It may not be implemented by Trump, but it remains the same. That the purpose of the foreign policy in Africa was to reduce the population, shrink the population of Africa, because they have great mineral resources there. And so at the time, Kissinger and those involved with the Carter administration wanted to shrink the population, make sure that the Africans do not develop and do not use the resources for themselves, because we in the States, we need them. There's a concerted effort of foreign powers to control the population of Africa.
Did you hear that? Both Farrakhan and De Souza are saying the same thing, that there is a deliberate policy to depopulate Africa because of her resources. It is good that the children of Africa know about this. It is good that the politicians in Africa know about this. Now, they accuse Henry Kissinger of this depopulation policy. Is there any evidence to show that Henry Kissinger was behind this policy? You can now see that there is no doubt that Henry Kissinger said so and could have been behind this policy. But what have African leaders and their people done to avert this kind of thing? If this depopulation agenda is successful in Africa, you should not blame Henry Kissinger or the Americans. You should blame the Africans. Africa must accept responsibility for colluding in this depopulation program if it ever succeeds. Now that you have known why Africa must be depopulated, how do these people behind the manufacture of Ebola make money from it and other viruses? Now listen to this.
Did you know that there was a policy in America, a policy to depopulate the third world? Talk to me! They are killing us off. AIDS is a biological weapon. Ebola is a biological weapon. I read recently, I don't know the truth, but it has been patented. If you can patent a virus, that means somebody made it. It ain't a natural thing. They have to depopulate the earth by 2 to 3 billion people. And you and I are in the crosshairs of the depopulation thrust of the policies of the American government. Where do your vaccines come from? If you're not getting them from Cuba, you need to look at them carefully.
Did you hear that? What has that statement got to do with making money from Ebola? Did you see something like this? Just read it. Take note of this line.
Ebola is a biological weapon. I read recently, I don't know the truth, but it has been patented.
Yes, Ebola has been patented. They have patented Ebola to make money from it. You will actually be surprised to see one day that coronavirus have been patented. Africans need to wake up. You need to wake up to the realities of things in this 21st century. Ebola has been patented. So are other viruses. That's what Farrakhan just said. And that's what the Americans did. Yes, the American government has patented Ebola. Have a look. Yes, the disease that killed 11,000 Africans have been patented by the United States of America. Look at the deposit statement. Look at the date when it was deposited with the Center for Disease Control. And that was on the 26th November, 2007. Look at the inventors, the signees, and date of filing. So somebody is claiming to have invented a disease called Ebola. You cannot really understand patenting a disease until you really know the full meaning of patent. Have a look at the meaning of patent. Have you seen that? So the United States of America, by this patent, want to make profit from this invention they call Ebola. I'm imagining, how would they do that? Now watch and see how they do it. Now, look at the summary of invention section of the patent document. It clearly stated that the United States of America is claiming ownership over all Ebola viruses that share as little as 70% similarity with the Ebola they invented. So why will a government, a nation, an organization claim to have invented this killer disease Ebola and then turn around to claim monopoly over its exploitation for commercial use? Does that tell you anything? Is the picture of what happened to 11,000 Africans becoming clearer? So, how will the American government hope to collect royalty from this Ebola patent? Now, to answer that question, let me take you back to what Dr. Cyril Broderick said earlier. Have a look. Have you seen it? This is where the money comes from. He stated that the United States Department of Defense contracted the Canadian pharmaceutical company Tecmira to do what? To inject live Ebola in West African healthy citizens in 2014. To do that, that company was paid $140 million for this dangerous project. What were they trying to do in that project? To infect healthy, innocent Africans, create a pandemic, allow people to die, create fear through mass media. People will be brainwashed to believe that vaccines can only cure them of Ebola. Before then, they will tell the victims that vaccines may not be available immediately. While the wait is on, Africans are dying in their thousands. The curious wait for Ebola vaccine in 2014 outbreak created hysteria, and when Tekmira finally came out with the vaccine, their shares in the stock market rose over 11%. Many African nations spent millions of dollars buying the Ebola vaccine from Tekmira. Profit made? Yes, profit made. Good business. So the patent owners, the shareholders smile to the bank. You can see how virus epidemics and weaponizing pathogens have become good business models. To make more profit from this business model, Africans must be ready to see more virus outbreaks and more dead bodies on the streets. COVID-19 is here today. Ebola was there yesterday. Today, it is COVID-19. This is the whole truth about the frequent vicious cycle of virus epidemics and pandemics in Africa. COVID-19 is the reigning virus. Africans should know that there is more stockpile of dangerous pathogens in over 400 labs across the world, lying in wait to be called upon to infect people, especially the Africans. Each time there is a virus outbreak, most African governments and their officials are more interested in foreign funds to fight the virus outbreak. They are also interested in vaccines and drug trials as well as their distributions because of the financial benefits they get from them. Once they get these two things, they don't care again about what happens. No one cares about what happened to their citizens. Where did the virus come from? So it is becoming clear that what is going on in Africa is a carefully planned massacre executed covertly through biological weapons. The owners of these biological weapons, the vaccine producers, the developed nations, and the international organizations seem to be united in this new business venture that is claiming the lives of powerless Africans who are always betrayed by their governments and health officials. Like the HIV/AIDS and Ebola outbreaks, Africans are beginning to piece together the conspirators, their method of operations, and the African collaborators. COVID-19 is also towing the same part. The fatality rate of COVID-19, according to the politicians and organizers, they said will soon flatten out. But unfortunately, there is no vaccine in sight for now, so people will continue to die. It is the same old game. So how is the game played? Infect the innocent people. Let there be high fatality rate that will frighten the public. Spread the fear through mass media. Hire compromise experts to make the populace believe that vaccine is the only way out. And then you bring in the vaccine. People will buy, business concluded. Profits will be made. Then the patent owners, the pharmaceutical companies, and the African collaborators will smile to the banks, while the bereaved Africans who have lost their loved ones bury their dead in anguish. Then the organizers will go back and start working again on the next plot. That is the game. Finally, from the foregoing, you have seen how foreign governments, their agencies, international organizations, and the African collaborators gang up against the African population and infect them with deadly diseases. Again, remember, we have not forgotten that accusations against China manufacturing the coronavirus and releasing it into the atmosphere by accident or design has not been verified yet. So it is very important that the Chinese are given the opportunity to put across their own side of the story. You will be shocked to know or to hear what the Chinese will say in their own response, coming up in the next episode. So make sure you don't miss it. It is loaded. Please try and subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. Have you subscribed? Thank you for subscribing. So See you in the next episode, and thank you for watching.